Are you missing out on a crazy hot classic car market on Bring a Trailer, Cars and Bids, and P-Car Market? We're going to talk about that. Plus, we're going to make some predictions on listings. This is Bid Nerds. The bidding starts now. Bid Nerds is your YouTube car game show. Okay, it is Sunday night. We are live. This is Bid Nerds. I am in the Container Park in downtown Las Vegas, the Rami studio, along with my partner, Michael Deeb, who is over there in San Francisco. What's happening, Michael Deeb?
What's up, JP? We tend not to talk about the leather anymore, but man, my Cars and Cafe was flooded out by the king tide and a week's worth of rain here in Northern California. So a big shout out to all the people that were planning or intended to come or maybe drove by and realized we weren't there today. I want to thank and apologize to you all. JP, I thought I did a fair enough job getting the word out there, but I got a phone call or text message at 7:30 in the morning from a kid named Julian, who's a photographer that I invited personally to come shoot the show. And I the one guy I didn't call. So if Julian is watching, or if you know Julian, my sincerest apologies. I owe him a Bid Nerd Speedo and a water bottle or something, but I felt terrible. My guy who showed up for me is the one guy I forgot to call and tell him we weren't doing it. So JP, I heard people had to put on sunscreen at your show. What the hell? How was that?
Man, we had such a great show. Thanks to everyone who showed up. And I apologize for the folks who saw, if you're a fan of Cars and Cafe, you're probably following both the Las Vegas show and the San Francisco show. And my partner over here puts a thing out on social media that says, rained out, no show today. And all these people are hitting me up going, they're seeing me live on videos at our show going, I thought this was... So, yeah, we got to work on the communication. All right, guys, we are going for it. Everybody's talking about my hat. Short rib fried rice. If you are ever in downtown Las Vegas on Fremont Street, you have to go and see our pals at Latai. That is the best. Oh, my God, the short rib fried rice is to die for. And here's the life hack. Here's the way you order it. You order it. They always ask you if you want the gravy or the egg on top. Those are both fine, but what you really got to do is get a side of peanut sauce and a side of sweet and sour, and you drizzle that over the short rib fried rice. Oh my God! I mean, you're gonna get as fat as either one of us, but you're gonna be happy.
Cucumber sauce. So the thing for people who don't know Vegas, up there in the north end, is that Latai is strategically placed halfway between JP's condo and halfway between the container park. So no matter where I'm visiting JP, if food comes up, Latai is my favorite place to go because I'm not living there anymore. So that's like my favorite. I can't believe you got one of those hats. It's so cool.
I should have got you one. I'm a bad person. All right, guys. Big question tonight is, are you feeling left out? FOMO is the word of the night. Fear of missing out. The classic car market is hot right now. We have been talking about the end of the world and price crashing and the collapse and blah, blah, blah. And if you watch any of the other car market shows that are out there, like, I don't know, Car Edge or, any of those guys, Brandon or any of those shows, they're always talking about how the prices of Stellantis cars and Jeeps and Chryslers and Hondas and Toyotas, everybody's just spiraling around the toilet bowl. That might be true for normie cars. If you're an NPC and you're paying attention to the price of a Toyota Sienna, well, yeah, prices of those are not going up anytime soon. But classic cars, they are still hot. We are seeing some crazy results. We're seeing crazy results in cars that we like. The Porsche 911s, all the air-cooled stuff we saw that big peak, and then it kind of dropped, and then it's been kind of flattened out. Now we're seeing some of the other cars that didn't see a big peak starting to come up. So we're going to talk about that. Plus, we always start off every episode by reconciling the predictions that we made on the last episode. That's what we do on this show is we analyze listings on Bring a Trailer, Cars and Bids, and P-Car Market, and we make predictions. So let's get to it. Michael, what was the first car that we made a prediction on the list when you're done giggling over there? What's going on?
I direct message you from time to time on Instagram, and the communication on social media between you and I is extremely slow, like, platonic shift.
Glacial.
ever since you debuted the Jaguar rebanding video that went onto social media, I have my social feed is littered with like all these hilarious things, and I've sent you a couple. But there is a great one where a guy pretends to answer the phone as a salesperson at a Jaguar dealership, trying to explain this like LGBTQ sensitive rebranding, and from a typical American male salesperson at a Jaguar dealership, JP, it is very funny. You should check your Instagram when you have a minute. That brings us to our first car. Let's circle back to the 1987 Jaguar XJS V12 that we kicked off the last episode with. This car was running no reserve out of Richmond, British Columbia on Bring a Trailer, showing 68,000 kilometers from new. Now, that's just 43,000 miles, but this car's got two huge strikes against it right off the bat. One, it's a Jaguar, and two, it's in Canada, for God's sake. So despite the low miles, this car has not had an easy life. This has not been look, I would say this car's been in a garage, but I would not call this car a garage queen. It looks like this car's been driven. It looks like this car has just been used as a very regular widget, and not babied and hermetically sealed. So despite the low mileage, it doesn't look like a cream puff by any stretch of the imagination. So now this car is running no reserve, JP, but Jaguars are soft in the secondary market, and values might not justify the expense necessary to import this car, even if you lived in the north end of Seattle. I mean, for God's sake. JP, we laughed at this car a little bit, and that made me feel bad. Deep down, I want to love Jaguars, but they don't give us a lot to love. Jaguar has a storied history, but all of their recent efforts from the time you and I started thinking about driving in the late 70s and early 80s till today, they just don't make that many exciting cars. So with that in mind, JP, I honestly thought that even though running no reserve, I thought this car might only sell for $2,600 because, again, who's going to bring it stateside, and how many people are shopping for this car in Canada? How many moose can you tow with a Jaguar XJS? JP, your bid was literally less than half mine at $1,100. Now, Classic.com says the average selling price of a XJS is $15,400, but our car hammered for just $5,300, where it's sold on 25 bids, blowing our pessimism completely out of the water. JP, still, that's 10 grand under market value. It might cost $7 to bring it across. And this car, I can tell by looking at it, he's $20,000 worth of work. I still don't think this pencils for anybody. So congratulations to the seller. I think you did way better than you had any business doing. But John, I feel bad for the guy that paid $5 grand for it, especially if he's going to bring it across the border. What do you make of that result? Do you think people are sitting here going, oh, man, I missed out? Like, I don't think anybody's got FOMO over this result.
Yeah, nobody's FOMOing on this car. Look, Classic.com usually has the numbers right, but there's always latency. Whatever they publish, look, they hadn't seen that commercial yet. That commercial hadn't dropped. We kind of had the scoop, man. Like, everybody on the internet is talking about it. Like, the next day, the day after our video came out, it was like all over the place, and everybody else is getting tens of thousands of views. I'm like, what the hell? We're the ones that broke that story. Come on, man. Right. We all know what the F stands for in F-Type now. I thought that the car was, I thought the whole campaign, my theory was that they were going to drop this crazy, ridiculously stupid campaign to get everybody buzzing like they are. How awesome would it be? How great would it be if they came out with the actual car and it was the campaign was the complete opposite of what they teased everyone with. It was like, haha, kidding. We're actually all about V8s and power, and who cares about burning dead dinosaurs and all that stuff. And they came out with an anti-woke campaign immediately, and they used a woke campaign to get our attention. That would have been stellar. That would have been like, okay, you guys just nailed it. But no, it turns out the CEO and a bunch of other people from the company have come out and made public statements going, oh, the vile hatred that we've received on our campaign is just indicative of the horror war. It's like, yeah, good plan. Blame your customers. That's worked out really well for companies like Bud Light and Disney and Marvel movies. Just they're okay. It's like your movie's crap. Oh, you hate some poor group of people. It's like, no, your movies suck. Nobody cares really who's being represented in this stupid commercial. What everybody's saying is like, this is dumb, guys. There's no car. This is, I don't know. It's just it's an absolute, I'd say, train wreck, but it's a car wreck. I mean, and nobody can keep their eyes off of it because it's just so terribly entertaining to see what unfortunately was a great brand just completely emulate. What is it when someone lights themselves on fire? When someone lights themselves on fire, somebody will tell me about it. Jaguar's done. They're dead. They're out. Their stock has just plummeted. I think Elon Musk is it's gonna be a BOGO, buy one get one free, get one MSNBC and one Jaguar for the price of $1.89. It'd be overpriced. What do you think?
Please tell me Robbie didn't order one of those Magnus Walker endorsed TWR Jaguars.
Oh God, I don't know. I saw some picture of him standing in front of that stupid thing.
I am like really nervous he's going to write a check and not be able to get it back because TWR will deposit it in their account. It won't cover their negative balance. They couldn't pay him back if they wanted to.
It is rough duty. Yeah. So what do you guys think of the results of this XJS? I think this one stayed in Canada, which makes sense. Leave the car in Canada. That seems on brand. So, all right, let us know what you think of the results. And what do you guys think of that campaign? Have you seen the commercial? If you haven't seen the commercial, watch our last episode. It's at the beginning of the spot, or just look it up. It's hilarious. It's comedy, and it's not supposed to be. All right, we made predictions on some other cars on the last episode. You're right, Deeb. No one's feeling like they missed out on this piece of junk. Yeah. I think what people feel like they're missing out on is why did I buy a Jag? If you own a Jaguar, oh man, I'm so sorry for you because the value of your Jaguar is plummeting because of that stupid campaign. It's amazing that a campaign like this can affect the value of old cars. All right, what are the cars? What's the next car on the list? What do we got?
All right, JP. Cars and Bids has a 1988 Porsche 924S running no reserve. Doug DeMiro's site had this really cool, very clean car out of Seattle, Washington. This car is showing 53,800 miles on the 5-digit odometer. But JP, a couple of glances under the hood at how clean this car is, and I'm starting to think that's original mileage on this thing. Add to that the very unusual colorway of stone gray metallic with the light gray interior and a black dash. The S has the Porsche-derived motor and a 5-speed transmission. This is actually a pretty cool car for what was going to be a singing, as far as a bit of a song. Again, running on Doug DeMiro's site, I didn't think this car was going to break the bank. And running no reserve, this car was definitely going to sell. So, JP, when we talk about FOMO, I have an interesting story to share about this car. According to Classic.com, $13,000 is the average. JP, I said 12 grand is all it would take. You took the over at $12,924. Our car hammered for $13,200, where it sold on 26 bids. John, in the final hours, actually up late the night before, at like 11 o'clock or midnight, I got Yuri texting me that Chris Carbine, he wants to bid, but Chris Carbine's the high bidder on the car. And so I write a group text to both of them, trying to tell Chris, like, hey, are you serious about the car? Because Yuri is interested. You guys should definitely talk so you don't, overbid the car for no reason. Like, get on the same page and decide what it's worth to each of you, and then one of you stand down. They were already talking, which means Chris Carbine was up until 2 o'clock in the morning. Anyway, those Dinglings bid on the car. Neither one of them won it, and they both had regrets in the aftermath of the hammer. They both got off, and then the car closed. And I think they both thinking, oh God, if it was going to go for 13, I probably should have kept bidding, because they both were like, man, that was a good one. So a couple of FOMOs in the herd. Shout out to both of those guys for cluing me in on their, reading me in on their little, friendly competitive fire. As they were both being very polite to one another about, no, you take it. And he's like, oh, you get it. And he's like, I'll get the next one. He goes, I'll get the next one for you. And I mean, the two of the nicest guys you could ever meet.
Well,
But
all
man,
right,
I really
wait.
wish one of
So,
them would've won it.
Chris, if you're, I know Chris is in the chat. What would you have paid for it? What do you think this car is actually worth? And what do the rest of you guys think this car is worth? That was an amazing. It's an amazing
It was a
car.
nice car.
I would love to get behind the wheel of one of these. I see one of these in my future. But let us know what you guys think of the results of this 924S. Chris, fill us in, and I'll let everybody know what you think it's actually worth. What was the next car on the list, Michael Deeb?
All right, JP, another car from up north. This was a 2006 BMW X5 4.8 IS. This car is out of Issaquah, Washington, showing just 47,000 miles. Original from new. Beautiful 6-speed automatic. Got the 4.8 motor and all the M stuff, JP. We joked about how this car would be worth twice as much money if BMW would have had the gall to put an M badge on it back in the day. Back when in early aughts, only sports sedans got an M badge. But this thing had all the M treatment, but without the badging to sort of back up the engineering that's truly in this car. As such, these cars tend to be pretty soft in the secondary market. However, this one's in really collectible condition, JP. According to our friends at classic.com, these cars bring about $16,800 on average. But I thought this car stood a chance to get all the way up to 28 grand. JP, you certainly thought this car was for sale in the right region of the country, but you still didn't think it was going to break 20 grand. Your bid was just 19,000. John, I wound up being just a hair closer at $24,200 at Hammer. Our car sold on 31 bids, and I beat you to that one by just a few $100. JP, that's a good result. Like maybe in the summer that car might have bring 28, or maybe if the economy was a teeny bit stronger, that car would bring 28 or even 30. But 24 this time of the year, that far into one side of the country, I still think the seller did well. Obviously, they accepted the bid, and the car is moving. And congratulations to the owner. I think you got a nice car for the money. Your friends at the Bid Nerds think these cars are fragile, so make sure you know a really good BMW technician. Good luck.
There it is. Breaking news on the show right now. Christian M in the Nerd Herd, he actually he personally purchased the 924. Where's his comment? He's in the chat right now.
There you go.
It's on his way to Los Angeles today. Congratulations, Christian. He says, "Yeah, this actual one." I asked him in the chat. So good on you. And awesome. I guess you should also thank Chris Carbine and Yuri for wimping out, because you're the winner, man. That's awesome. Make sure.
Uncle Mike got the Nerd Herd to stand down so Christian M could get a new car for Christmas. Jesus, you guys.
Holy cow. Christian, make sure you find us at Works Reunion or the next time we're in LA. I bet there'll be I'll bet there'll be an Air and Water show sometime this spring. So we'll have to make sure we have a big Bid Nerds episode. That's awesome.
Christian, make sure you avoid us at the next show, because if we see your car, it's going to get slapped with like their fascination stickers and Bid Nerd stickers and Chef's face stickers. You're not going to want us to be around your car. Your car will never look the same.
That's awesome, man. Congratulations, Chris. All right. Or Christian, rather. Listen, this BMW that we were just talking about, I mean, what an overpriced hunk of crap. That is just hell. Great looking, just boat anchor. That is going to cause whoever. I hope no one in the Nerd Herd bought this thing, because they have a world of hurt coming to them. Let us know what you think of the results of this really fast, really neat looking, terribly expensive to maintain X5 that should have been an M. And we made some predictions on more cars. What was the next car on the list? Let's get to it.
Yeah. Buy 3 and get 1 free. JP, you selected at the last minute, and I'm so glad you did, this 1978 Volkswagen Rabbit with a 4-speed on PCAR Market out of Southern California. The car's in Burbank, showing 49,700 kilometers, but true mileage unknown. I don't think I ever noticed it was in kilometers. That's weird. Wonder where the car originated. JP, super cool. Not a GTI. Let's get that straight. And not even a 5-speed manual transmission, but take a look at it. That's your Golf. That's your early original Mark I Golf, and it looks to be in really, really nice condition. I also, JP, I kind of dig the presentation. I know they're not the greatest photos in the world, but I like what they did, taking it up what I assume is the crest, and got some nice photographs. So at least they tried. You know what I'm saying? They're not the best photos, but I think they did fair enough job for a relatively inexpensive car. Nice car, nice condition, not a big collector. JP, we just sort of dig this car because it kind of tugs at your heartstrings. John, Classic.com says that a Mark I Golf is a $9,700 on average conversation. I thought this one in the original condition, fair mileage, and excellent original condition would bring $14,000. I was ambitious. I really dig this car. You were a bit more pragmatic. Your bid was $8,578. So there's a few things to unpack here. First of all, our car failed to sell on 9 bids at just $9,250. They have since received a $10,000 offer that they denied, and the car remains available at this moment in the deal tank for $12,000. So the high offer is 10, but the high bid was just 9,200. So JP, they were $3,000 away. I know your bid was under $9,000, but the average is 9. This to me looks like an above average example. I can understand why this guy is, hoping to hold out for more money. But when we look at $9,250 as being the high bid, or even the $10,000, if you want to use that number, do you think this car should have sold?
Absolutely, this car should have sold. I don't know. I mean, especially since the Delta's only a couple of grand away. If this guy was smoking crack and thought he had a $25,000 car, it'd be a different story. But, I mean, he's got an offer at $10,000 on the table, and he's holding out for another couple of grand. I mean, the price in the deal tank is always an asking price. It's like a classified ads. So what are you doing, dude? How much time are you wasting and risking to let a buyer off the hook? Just come down, like he's not going to meet you in the middle at 11. Fine. Just give him the stupid car unless you want to keep this thing for a long, long time. I don't see anyone FOMOing on a Mark I Rabbit. No one is knocking down the door. Maybe if it were a GTI, it'd be a different story, but this is not a GTI, guys. This is just a cool Rabbit with a cool, some cool seats and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know why this guy doesn't just let it go. What the hell?
It's Thanksgiving and I get to pick on my partner. Ladies and gentlemen, when my partner this winter brings to market his air-cooled Porsche and his other air-cooled Porsche, I'm no mathematician, but it sounds to me like you are welcome to offer him 20% under what he's asking, and he'd be an idiot if he didn't take it. So by all means, use his math on him, okay? Listen, he has given us the formula. The cheat code is there. $20,000 under asking is fair game. You should take it. I don't know what he's holding out for. My God.
Yes, if I ask $150,000 for that car, you can definitely offer me 20% less, and I will happily take that. In fact, I'd probably take 50% less.
We should work for P-Car Market.
That's how they work. It'll give you an opportunity to get ripped off on. Buy a car. Philip is like, I'd rather have the XJS. Really? That's interesting. Okay.
Whoa.
That's something.
We'll make it home from the crest. Your XJS would still be up where the photos were taken.
Oh my gosh. All right. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's a cool car. I definitely love it. But $10,000 is all the money. Take the money and run, dude. Cause what the hell? And get into something that you do want to keep for a while. All right, guys, that's the predictions that we made on the last episode. We have a whole batch of cars that we're going to make predictions on right after this. Stick around. Hey guys, I gotta tell you about our friends Godden Porsche of Las Vegas and Godden Classic. If you're looking for a new Porsche or a classic, you gotta call our friend Steve at Godden. This guy. Save yourself the hassle of screwing around with all the auctions like we always talk about, and just talk to Steve. He'll find you the classic Porsche you're looking for. Godden Porsche of Las Vegas. Hey guys, you're probably looking at your watch and wondering if bid nerds will ever end. So you better talk to our friends at Our Smiths to make sure your Rolex, Tag Heuer, AP, or any fine timepiece is in tip-top shape. Our Smiths, fine Swiss repair. All right, I'm looking at my Anthony Vieira, the A Vieira watch right here that we're going to be giving away. This watch was made by our sponsor at Our Smiths. It is a one-of-a-kind. We're excited about this watch. I'm just showing it off. I showed it off at Cars Un Cafe this morning. And I'm going, what time is it? It's time for you guys to hit the like button and the thumbs up button and subscribe if you haven't done that already. If you're hanging out in the chat, come on, man. We got new names. We got new people hanging out. We welcome all of you. We love doing the show for you guys. Please hit that like button, that thumbs up, and the subscribe, hit the notifications. All of those things helps the channel, gets more people in the nerd herd, makes us a whole lot more fun to do. We are the channel that analyzes the listings on Bring a Trailer and Cars and Bids and all those channels. Let's get to it. We have predictions to make. Are people feeling like they're missing out on the super hot classic car market? I think we've got some amazing cars on the list tonight, or at least one. Our main car is like, talk about an amazing car. I'm feeling like I'm missing out on one of these, but I don't know if I'll ever have the money for one of these. Maybe you will. Maybe this channel will get huge. What do we got, Michael Deeb?
All right, JP, far be it for the bid nerds who are, experts at nothing, to give our large audience advice on how to purchase a 1959 Mercedes-Benz 300 SL Roadster with a 5-speed manual swap that is currently listed as a premium listing on Bring a Trailer, located in San Carlos, California. I could drive down and do a pre-purchase inspection on the car for you for a fee. But anyway, JP, if you're really in the market for a car like this, there are experts who know these cars in and out. But there are some basic things that I think every fan of the car should know, and I'll go over those with us for the show. JP, basically, they built these cars during a 6-year run. They made less than 2,000. Apparently, 1,858 Roadsters were built, and just 211 were manufactured in 1959. So it is kind of a rare car by the number, even though it did have a long model production run. This car is originally a U.S. car delivered to New York in June of 1959 and has spent time across the country. Somebody back in 2011 purchased a car and then sent it to HK Engineering in Germany for a refresh that included the installation of a more contemporary Getrag 5-speed manual transmission, which would make the driving experience of these cars a whole hell of a lot more fun. And I don't have a crystal ball or really that good a memory at my age, but I'm fairly certain that in 2011, this car was probably worth half of what it's going to hammer for in the next 2 days when this car closes here on BAT. So, swapping it out from the original 4-speed to put in a modern 5-speed and have more fun driving the car would have made financial sense. Today, JP, if that original gearbox, which I did not read the whole listing, if that original stamped gearbox is with the car, the numbers matching gearbox, it would be my advice that you'd go get it rebuilt by a professional and install it in the car, and you'd upgrade the value of the car. So to me, the 5-speed manual, though it makes it a better driver, it's the only sort of detractor of the value of the car. Otherwise, it's a really nice car. They call it a cement gray. And here's the things you want to know. When you look at the value of these cars, you want to know if the car was built originally with Rudge wheels, and if it was, are they with the car? The Rudge wheels bring $100,000 more to the car. You get another 20 grand if it has the original fitted luggage that came with the cars. Some do, some don't. Usually when they do, and you're at a car show, you'll see the luggage. The way that it's cut to fit in the back of the car is beautiful. It's all bespoke to the shape of the cars. In the coupes, it's meant to fit behind the seats, and in the convertibles, it's meant to fit in the trunk. Then you add $75,000 for the hardtop, which our car has. It's an off color, which is kind of a cool, very 50s look to have a contrasting color to the hardtop. I dig it. And then another little tiny thing, but it means something. If you have the original Becker radio, that's another $2,500 ad, and this car has that. So no fitted luggage here that I can see, no Rudge wheels that I can see, but otherwise a nice car, good driver quality car, JP. The 5-speed will make it a better driver, but it doesn't help the value. It probably costs it $1 or $2. Neat car, John. It's let me read this one more time for us. Our car is in San Carlos, and it is on a clean California title. So there you go. It's it's smog exempt and all that sort of thing. But super cool car, JP. These cars were almost like a homologation special in sports car racing and in Grand Prix racing. Mercedes was racing cars that looked like this. This car was built for the road. And when you think about your little tiny post-war Fiats and Jaguars and MGs and MGAs and all stuff like that, and think of your 50s post-war American not muscle cars, but American cars with the fins and the long overhangs in the front and the back. How otherworldly, how UFO and airplane-like did a 300 SL Roadster look like? You must have looked like the prince of anything driving down the street in the 1950s, anywhere on the planet in a car like this. To me, when we talk about icons of the last century and of modern design, the way that the country moved forward after World War II. To me personally, the 300 SL gull wing is the greatest icon of the last century. And I'm a Ferrari guy, but to me, this car is the epitome. It's the apex predator of all those things, of how we came out of, such a terrible time in our country, in the world history. So this is a beautiful car, one that obviously gets me switched on. I'm so glad you picked it. It's an absolute gem. This is a driver quality car, so I think it could be below the average selling price for one of these. It could turn out to be a great driver with maybe a little bit of upside if you could find that gearbox. So JP, why did you select this car, and what did you want to talk about here?
How many times have we talked about a 7-figure car and you just know it's going into a museum or a collection or wherever some guy's going to just rub it down with a diaper? The thing I love about this car is that it is likely to be bought by someone who will actually appreciate it and take it out and drive it. The fact that it's got that transmission swap makes the car better, and it's going to make it less expensive. I mean, that's just like, oh my God, this is great. This is one of the upsides of the stupidity of some car buyers when it comes to these upper echelon cars. To me, I love that it's a convertible. I love that it has 3 pedals. I love that this car we might see this at a Cars in Cafe somewhere, right. Or, driving down the coast out sometime. This car is just, yes, I like the phrase apex predator. It really is the car that all classy cars in the modern era want to be.
Yes,
you can make something that's cool, and you can add all the little touches and the gills and the strakes and all that stuff. This car wasn't adding any of those things. This car is where those ideas came from. It's just, this is the pinnacle of human achievement. I know our friend, the professor, says that about the 993 Turbo, and there is an argument for that. But when it comes to class, this is it. This just, oh my gosh, how awesome would it be to cruise down the coast with your best girl in one of these? Just talk about romantic. Okay, what's it gonna bring? That's
JP,
the big question.
Did you notice that there's a 4-point contemporary racing harness on both
sides? I did, yeah.
So first of all, that is dangerous. It might actually serve you to be ejected from this car if it rolled. And you don't want harnesses that aren't supported above your shoulders. They actually will hurt your neck. So it was misinformed to put those in there, but I just thought it was funny because they're so contemporary and out of place. All right, JP, a couple of numbers to unpack here for you. I did a teeny bit of homework. Classic.com says that the average selling price for a 300 SL Roadster is $1.4 million. I think, JP, that this car is going to be, more in that like 1.1 range, but I will add the, basically $80,000 for the hardtop and the Becker radio. And so I'm going to bring my 1.15 up to around 1,125,000. So 1,125,000. And I think if it gets to my number, I wrote it wrong twice. 1,125,000. Boom. There we go. I think if it gets to my number, it should sell. I don't think this guy has any business asking 1.4. I know SLs have been hot. There isn't Gooding or Broad Arrow Group or RM Sotheby's. They will not host a live auction without a 300 SL Roadster and a gull wing, because they have to have these for their clients. So these cars are still selling. These cars are still desired. There is still a demand for these cars. And this one fills a very specific niche because it's an affordable driver's car. And when you consider that it's an affordable and it doesn't have the original gearbox, then I think you have to make concessions for that in your mind of what you expect. Therefore, I think my number is in play. So there you go. $1,125,000. I said it wrong twice. $1,250,000 is what I'm trying to say. Go ahead, JP. I'll fill it in. You give us
1.25.
1,250,000. $100,000. There we
Holy
go. That's
cow,
it.
you were all over the place. All right, yeah.
I'm all over. I'm tired. I had a Benadryl last night. Forgive me. So give it to me.
This car, I mean, look, Bitcoin is at $100,000. We are in the spirit of optimism. There is a lot going on. There are things looming over us that could cause the economy to take a big old ish in a couple weeks, months, who knows. But right now, everyone's feeling good about things, and I think people are looking at going, hey, where else can I put my money? Because one thing that's going to happen when it comes to the rip in the stock market and the money kind of running around, is we're going to see more inflation. And what a great way to hedge against inflation is a classic car. I'm going to go right above you and say $1,300,300 and say this car brings the money. And I think that the numbers that that we're looking at comps are from the last year and a half, when things have been kind of soft and people have been a little scared and buttoned up and puckered up and not wanting to spend the money. I think people are looking to spend money on stuff like this. And this is as almost as blue chip as you get. The fact that it's not the perfect one. I think if it were a perfect collector car, I think if the average price is 1.3 or 1.4, I think we'd be looking at 1.5, 1.6. So that's what I think. What do you guys think out there in the nerd herd? This iconic 300 SL, is it going to bring all the money? Is it going to be, are people feeling like they're missing out on cars like this? We're going to find out in just a couple of days. We have more cars to talk about. What's the next one on the list? Michael Deeb.
All right, JP, very interesting car right now on Cars and Bids. It's a 1989 Volkswagen Jetta Coupe running no reserve on Doug DeMiro's side out of Yayo, Utah, with a clean Utah title. But John, the real interesting news is actually under the hood. They have swapped out the original Volkswagen normally aspirated motor for a more contemporary turbocharged inline four, the old 1.8T, which is a hot little number. Even at its basic bones of just 150 horsepower, it'd be a ripper in a car this light. My guess is this car's probably had an ECU flash, and you could be looking at 200 plus horsepower out of your cool little Jetta Coupe. You put a GLI 16 valve to shame with this thing. JP, some cool wheels on the car, a bunch of modifications. I don't want to get into all of them, but if you read the article, they did a lot to shoehorn that motor in under the hood. They basically had to shave the engine bay. They also did a 5-speed manual transmission swap. JP, is it possible that the Jetta Coupe would have come with a 4-speed?
No. Jetta
so it's a 5-speed,
well,
but
not
but
a Mark II. It has to be 5-speed.
Yeah. So it came with a 5-speed that obviously would match up better to the motor. But yeah, man, I don't know. They did a lot. The clutch and the flywheel and the cold air intake and all these things. I mean, this little sucker could rip. It could be 300 horsepower easy out of this thing. And I bet you, I mean, I've always loved the way these cars look, and now you've got the performance to match. This is absolutely a wolf in sheep's clothing. JP, I am a Mark II fanboy, but not an enthusiast. I don't know the ins and outs. I love those beautiful Recaro seats that are in the GLI 16 valve, but this is not that car, and that is not that interior. The seats look a little boring to me, but you had some comments regarding the dash and the steering wheel that
dude, yeah,
really funny.
You picking up those are not the seats. You guys. If anybody knows a Volkswagen Mark II, the interior on this thing, I don't know what the heck is going on. Sorry, I thought I had the pictures up here for you. Here they are. That's not a Jetta dashboard, guys. I don't know where the hell that dashboard came from. I don't know where these seats came from. Those look like early 90s Audi seats to me. But the big thing is this dashboard and those gauges. I really like the exterior of this car. I like how clean and basic two-door it is, but the interior just absolutely ruins it. It's not the color. I like the color combination. I think it's kind of neat, but does anybody out there in the nerd herd recognize this dash? Where did that dash come from? What the hell is that? I mean, and I'm a minimalism guy. I'm a big less is more kind of guy. I like that it's got very few switches and stuff, but that's just weird looking, man. What is this?
It looked like it was built by your local harbor boat interior mobile installer. You know what I mean? Like the guy who can work on your boat while it's in the slip. He looks like the guy who put together this interior. It is not done to a high level, and of course, it's not original.
It's
which
a
is
marine
a bummer.
dash, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Oh my God, the fit and finish looks awful. But JP, man, despite all that, I really want to drive this car. I want to know what this car feels like. I bet it is a blast. It's a shame it doesn't have the original interior. It's running no reserve, JP. Talk to me. You take it from here. What do you think?
Well, wait, you want me to give a price first?
No, I'll give a price first. I just wasn't sure if there's anything else you want to add. All right. So 1,300 miles, true mileage unknown, running no reserve. JP, according to classic.com, a basic Jetta Coupe is a $13,000 car. Our car is currently sitting at, and we never gave the, sorry. Our car is currently at $7,500 on 13 bids. Average is 13,000. I think with the motor, this car should go to 10, but that interior kind of kills it. I'm just going to say, JP, despite all the work under the hood, I'm going to go $8,800 and give it to you. $8,800. Where you at?
Where's it sitting at right now?
75 and closes tomorrow.
Yeah, that's a good bid. I think this car is going to struggle. If it had a stock interior, it would be so much better off. All the other mods are fine, but that interior is just repellent. You're at what, $8,800? That's tough for me to. That is a tough bid to bid against, because will it get over that? Yeah, I think it will. The build is great. You could, I don't know, live with the dashboard. I'll say $9,000. I'll park it just above you a little bit there, but I don't think it gets much higher than that. There's no way this thing breaks 10 with that interior. And that's a shame, because if it had a good interior, I think this is a $12,000 to $15,000 car.
Bummer.
What do you guys think? Looks like the nerd herd's kind of with us. Prices, we got bids between 7,900 and looks like 10.2 is Anthony. But yeah, I don't know, guys. It's a neat looking car. Who loves it? Who loves a front wheel drive sports car?
Gerd's all in on that car. He's at 12,200.
Holy hoobie, Gerd! This car is you, man. I can see this in your garage. All right, we got more cars to make predictions. What do we got?
All right, JP, I selected this 1990 Chrysler TC by Maserati with a 5-speed manual transmission and just 35,000 miles from new. Our car is running no reserve as an alumni listing on Bring a Trailer out of West Winfield, New York. JP, our car actually transacted on Bring a Trailer last summer in June of 2023. At that time, our car sold for $12,000. And at that time, it also ran no reserve as an alumni listing, but there's no hyperlink to what it ran for or sold the previous time it sold. So back again, and without any more miles on the odometer, still showing 35,000 miles. GP, the car looks to be in excellent condition and low mileage, and it's a manual. I'm going to go out and say it. I don't think it's the ugliest car in the world. I just think that Chrysler or Maserati or whoever was in charge of final assembly or final design just didn't do enough to sort of consummate the higher touch Maserati cachet. The wheels are cheap and the chrome bumper is cheap. And of course, all the Chrysler fittings around the interior are cheap, but the overall shape of the car and the design of like sort of sharing one brand sort of influencing or collaborating with the other would have been great. Certainly, if you're going to bring Maserati into the Chrysler name, they should have had, sport tune suspension and, opposed piston brake calipers or something like that. And they just didn't do enough. But I don't think it's I don't look at it and go, ooh, barf. It's a terribly offensive car. There's way worse things that Chrysler has built. And Maserati too, for that matter. So I always wish this car would have had more, but it never did, and they never brought any money. So JP, the question is, it was worth $12,000 last summer, and we're sitting here looking at it this year. Is it worth any more today? Spoiler alert, it's only at $5,500 and it closes 48 hours from now. So JP, your musings on this. Now, I know you've sold a couple of LeBarons. What's the big difference between this car and a LeBron?
I've only sold one LeBron. This is the 2.2 turbo engine. It's a manual. These are front wheel drive. Really, the difference between the LeBarons and the Jags are just the trim, and then that engine. The cam has. Look, the engine has 250 horsepower in these things. They actually kind of rip. There's a lot of torque steer. Drives not unlike that Jetta in a sluggish kind of heavy way.
Yeah.
People are going to ish all over this car and say it's a turd, it's a piece of crap, but look, these are fun. If you can get one of these for not a lot of money, it is a great car to drive. Ironically, this is the type of thing that you bring to a Radwood or, that kind of car show where you're you just can't take this thing seriously. It's not a sports car. It doesn't perform. But when you find one that's this nice, they really are lovely to drive. My LeBron, I think that was an 88, and it had like 50,000 original miles, and it looked like it had 50 original miles. Sold it to a great guy, Matt in LA, and we're still friends with him.
Oh,
And
we haven't seen Matt in a while. Matt,
it's been a minute since he's hung out. And look, he was like a real estate developer, and he was just like the coolest guy because I could drive a Kia fill in the blank SUV or some whatever normie NPC car for $50,000, right? That you just see driving around, or you could drive something like this and look like you just came off the set of Dynasty. How cool is that? For 10 grand or something like that, or 11 grand. I think this is just all kinds of fun. When I had mine, driving it to the country club was so rad. We got so many looks. It was just a great time. What do you think this one's going to bring this time around?
All right, JP. So that is the question, is it not? It's at $5,500. It closed for $12,000 a year ago, and the guy's bringing it back to market. It's interesting because you talk about the fall of this year as being really, really soft, but since the election and with the market strong and crypto's running, this guy could get lucky. I don't think I would bet on that, but he could. JP, according to classic.com, the average selling price of Chrysler TC by Maserati is just $7,600. Our car is at $55,000. I just don't see it, man. I'm going to say $10,000. If this thing runs and goes to 15 or 25, I would not be the least bit surprised. It's the cleanest one to come to market. It's come to market a couple different times. Somebody else might want to take a turn with it. But man, I just got to be more realistic. I think 10,000 is where it hammers, and I think he's just getting off the car. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if it ran, but I wouldn't bet on it running. So JP, 10,000 to you.
What do you mean? Running as far as running up on the bid.
Yeah, running up the bid.
Look, I think again, people are optimistic. This is a fun car to get into for not a lot of money. I'm going to say $12,000. People are going, I'd rather have the Rabbit or the Jetta or whatever. This is not an apples to apples comparison. I guarantee you that if you're here in Las Vegas hanging out for the weekend, you would rather drive this down the strip with the top down. You're going to have so much fun just going in a straight line, cruising with this thing, stopping at all the lights and waving to people and everyone high-fiving you at the crosswalks because people will respond to this car. If you're in that little Rabbit or the Jetta, you're going to be, that just looks like a shitbox to people. This car will elicit a certain response. Some people will be repelled by it, of course, but a lot of people will see this thing and it's like a puppy. If it doesn't put a smile on your face, man, you're a bad person. All right. What do you guys think this little Maserati will bring? Let us know in the comments, and let's move on to the next car. What do we got?
All right, JP. I picked for us a 2011 BMW 328i Sports Wagon. John, our car is on Cars and Bids, showing just 31,000 miles from new on a clean Pennsylvania title. The car is located in Westchester, Pennsylvania. Now, JP, there are many different forms that the 328 of BMW's platform comes in: convertible, sedan, and the wagon. Obviously, the convertible is a coupe or a cabriolet. Believe it or not, the wagons bring the biggest amount of money. Isn't that funny? So if you get a Sport Wagon with a manual transmission and rear-wheel drive, you are actually onto something. Our car is in very nice condition. It does have the manual, and it is rear-wheel drive. It's not an all-wheel drive car. The only way this car would be worth more money is if it was actually equipped with the M Sport package, which then would have changed the bodywork a little bit and done sport tuned suspension, and you would have got a more aggressive seat. This car is not quite that. If it was, I would say this car is actually going to bring over $30,000. But it's a rear-wheel drive manual with low miles, and it looks to be in very nice condition. White with the black and white interior. It does not offend me. I dig this car. It's pretty cool. It is just worth noting that those M package cars really do drive like a step up above these. These drive great, but the other ones drive amazing. And so despite having sort of a normally aspirated inline six motor, they're not going to kill you with speed or outright performance, but man, they are just fantastic driving cars. This was a little bit of a heyday for BMW with regards to feedback and road feel and all those sorts of things. I know these cars got kind of canned with the Chris Bangle and all that sort of thing, but they never bothered me that much, and I just sort of dig this one. This looked like the cleanest one to come to market, and I kind of feel like, JP, Cars and Bids is probably the best platform for this car to retail. So, John, an excellent example of a quietly collectible car, sort of a hot car, in a otherwise mundane lineup from BMW at that era. What do you think of these cars? Were they popular up in the Northwest when you were growing up? Were wagons a thing? Because they were definitely a big thing in the Bay Area that you would take up to the mountains for your all-wheel drive winter Tahoe car before the onslaught of SUVs saturated the market with the European version of a Suburban. This used to be the cool thing to drive, was it not? Is it true for you in Seattle?
I hate myself. I see this car and I just, look, I need to find the suicide hotline. I talk about fear of missing out. I have a Macan and I hate that goddamn thing. I hate my Porsche Macan. The fact is I could have bought one of these for half the price or even less, and I'd have a better rig with 3 pedals. I'd have just as much. Probably have more room. I love these cars. No, they were never cool in Seattle. The Beamer crowd, hipsters liked them, but you had to be you had to be in the Beamer scene in order for anyone to really appreciate one of these. Otherwise, it just looked like a soccer mom car back in 2011. By 2011, come on, SUVs were everywhere already. And that's why this car wasn't a success, and that's why you don't see very many of them. I mean, the SUV hit the market in the early 90s is when really SUVs became the thing that they are. So BMW and the Europeans kept, Mercedes kept trying to hang on with wagons, and BMW, the Americans gave up on wagons pretty much by the mid 90s. By the 2000s, they were like, forget it. Nobody wants one of those. Why would anyone make a wagon? And oddly enough, it was the German Europeans that were still making wagons. So yeah, I love this car. I love this generation 328, whether it's a wagon or a sedan or a coupe with 3 pedals. These are great driving cars for not a lot of money. If for my money, I want a 328. I don't want a 335 with the turbos. And I mean, those engines just blow up left and right. I don't know if they made a 330 in this body. Probably not. So
the wagon, I don't think the wagon got the bigger motor, but you could get the M package and you could get it rear wheel drive.
Right. Yeah. But the 3-liter or the 330 was only in 2006 in the E92s, if I remember correctly. And then they came, and then they had the 335 after that. So the the 330 was a naturally aspirated 3-liter, whereas these are 2.5s or 2.8s or whatever. So yeah, but these are the more reliable car. This is a 300,000 mile engine. Yeah, you'll have some plastic expansion tanks break and stupid components that BMW did, but the maintenance on those, none of it's really catastrophic. If you maintain one of these and treat it well, it will just go on and go and go and go. I cannot say that for my stupid Porsche Macan. That's basically just a Audi waiting to blow up in my face. So what's this BMW going to go for? Yeah, somebody in the comments was like, yeah, I could have had 5 of these for the price of the stupid Macan. And he's right. So dumb. I hate myself.
Well, and the thing is, if you would have driven this thing, you would have tuned it a little bit, had fun with it, and it would probably be worth whatever you paid for it, or a little bit more money, which is, I think, what really gets you, which gets your goad at the end. JP, I'm looking at the build, and according to the listing, this car does have the sport package, so that's going to means that it does have M Sport suspension and different wheels and different seats and all that sort of thing, and an increased top speed limiter. So this one does have the goods, which might increase my bid just a little bit. So JP, here we go. Our car closes in a day from now, November 26th. So
well, hold on. I'm going to cut you off. You said it does have the M Sport stuff. It has none of the badging. Those are not sport seats.
I didn't think they were sport seats either, but according to the listing, this car has. Read it. Look at it. Read the listing.
I don't care what the listings. I mean, the internet Cars and Bids got it wrong. The only M is on the shift knob. I mean, those are not M seats. There's no way those are sport seats.
That's what I thought. That's why I looked at it. I was like, that's not a sport package car. But
it says it is. M shift knob.
So,
that's the only M item on this whole. Those are the small wheels. It doesn't have the infotainment system on the top, which I actually like. That is a sport steering wheel, maybe, or a sport-like steering wheel, but yeah, I don't know what the hell. I think the intern got it wrong. But anyway, sorry to cut you off.
I tend to agree with you. And so I'm taking the listing at face value, or at least how it is listed, but you might want to do research if you're truly considering bidding on yourself. It will make a difference. Not only in the value of the car, but absolutely how the car will drive. It'll drive very differently if it does or doesn't have that suspension and the seats that JP and I think this car is not equipped with. All right, JP. Car actually closes in 2 days from now. I really don't like Cars and Bids interface because they're saying it closes in 1 day, but it's actually the 26th is the date, which is on Tuesday. So, John, our car is currently listed at $15,500 on 9 bids. According to Classic.com, the average seller price for these cars is $14,800. So despite the car being at $15,000, JP, I think this car is going to bring another $10,000. I'm going to give you $25,500 as my bid and dare you to go over, just because. Why not? I think it's going to get there because I think these cars come along in this condition too infrequently. And so I just think that the real buyer is waiting in the wings and is waiting to pounce on this because with the low miles, I think that's a heck of a lot of car for the money. It's a fantastic driving car. And I think it's a really safe place to park your money while you go put 40,000, 50,000 miles on it and still get $20,000 out of it down the road. So I like that car at 25 and I think it'll get there. Where are you at?
25. Wow. That is a
25.5.
That is a big number on this car. I love the car. I like wagons. I like shooting brakes. I love so much about this car, but 25 is a lot, especially for Cars and Bids. Maybe if it were on BAT, I do agree with you that this is the right platform for it. I don't think there's a universe where this is a $25,000 car. I'm going to give it 21,328. And say it sells for that. I mean, we just don't see that late stage happening on Cars and Bids. And this car does have some scuffs. I don't know. I'm not going to knock the car. I think it's in good shape generally, and it's a driver car. This is a car that someone's going to use and commute in and all those kinds of things. Like I said, I would love to replace my Macan with one of these, but not going to happen. All right, guys, what do you think of this 328 Sports Wagon? What's it going to bring? Gerd says 26. Man, I guess I got it wrong because Gerd always knows. Everyone's on your side, Deeb. They think it's going to get up there in the mid-20s. So, yeah, maybe it is. Maybe people are missing out on sport wagons with low miles. You're not going to. It's not like you can go to the used car store and just order up a 2011 with a manual. It's just not going to happen, right? All right, guys, that is an episode. Thanks for hanging out with us on a Sunday night, live here at the Bid Nerds machine. We will be back on Wednesday night. Any housekeeping before we take off, Mike?
No, I just wanted to make sure we were going to do one on Wednesday night when everybody's traveling or drinking with their high school friends as they go home and see mommy and daddy. We still going to throw a show together?
Why not?
Yeah,
It's the night before Thanksgiving. What else
can
are
we
you gonna
drink
do?
on air? Can we drink on air?
Let's
on
have some
Wednesday night
turkey on the show, man. Let's get.
Yeah.
Come on, let's do it. We'll get some pie in here. We'll do. Yeah, that's right. It'll be a very special holiday edition of Bid Nerds coming up on Wednesday night. So if you're at home and the wives are cooking up the pies and the turkeys and stuff like that, the bros can go watch football and hang out and watch the Bid Nerds. Let's do it.
Let's
We'll
go.
be here Wednesday night.
Right on.
Thanks, everybody.
Love you guys. Thank you.
See ya. Hey guys, I gotta tell you about our friends Godden Porsche of Las Vegas and Godden Classic. If you're looking for a new Porsche or a classic, you gotta call our friend Steve at Godden. This guy. Save yourself